There is no nuclear age without Africa. There is no solar age without Africa. There is no technological age without Africa. And China knows that.
Now, in the recent past, there has been a shift in the conversations, and people say that it is a time that we should argue on economic development, and that is the direction China is going. Now, in this today's video, Africa, we identify that is a continent that every other region is scrambling to get control of because of the vast resources they have. Now, I want you to watch this video speaking about how Africa leads in transforming the technological age, the nuclear, and all other transformations that the world is seeing currently. And let us react to it in the end.
Whoever controls Africa controls the world, because Africa has the largest deposits of non-renewable resources. Gas, oil, gold, silver, manganese, and coltan, minerals that necessary to create an atomic bomb, and half of them are in Africa. There is no nuclear age without Africa. There is no solar age without Africa. There is no technological age without Africa. And China knows that. That's the reason why China wants to possess Africa. Because China is overpopulated, and I've been there once. You think rush hour in New York or rush hour in DC is something? Go sit in China. It's overpopulated. China is #1 producer of cheap things, clothes, materials, fabric, utensils, you name it. China is the Walmart of the planet. America will never be able to sabotage China, because America is king of capitalism, and China, on the other hand, is king of communalism. This is the reason why President of the Philippines took China as an ally for long-term goals. Who's gonna treat your country best? The Americans, the Russians, or the Chinese? None of them are gonna treat you well, because they are all colonizers. Africa has no friends. They don't need one. And it is the same scenario of Palestine. They have a lot of resources, more than the country itself combined. And that's why there is a genocide.
Yes, as you have heard in that video, is how worthy African continent is, and the kind of resources they have, and how it can control the economy of the world. In fact, this lady proves that Africa is where everything comes from, be it technological advancements, be it economic solutions that are driving the economies of these great continents, be it great brains that bring innovative ideas. Africa is the mother of all these, and Africa has never known how it is worthy in the eyes of the G7. Now, the G7 consists of the United States, Italy, UK, Canada, and France. These countries have always had ways of controlling Africa and ensuring that these resources are divided equally amongst themselves. You remember when I brought a video about artifacts still lying in Europe? These are African artifacts that are used to gain income by these foreign countries. But still, another challenge is coming. That is China. China is coming at a very fast rate, and it wants to overtake these countries. Now, the big question is, should we go the Chinese way, or we prefer the West? Because as we know, China has got a way of dealing with Africa, and they have proven that it is a mutual relationship whereby you do trade and benefit equally. as compared to the Western culture, which wants to subject us to colony, which happened during the slavery period. So China may be regarded as the best for Africa because of how it deals with Africans, how they bring issues on the table and make us agree after looking at all possible outcomes. This is because I want to bring a video that shows how China has contributed to the global economic growth with a bigger percentage accorded to them. That one will prove how China is committed towards the development of the great world and also importantly Africa. Now let us watch and also talk about it in the end.
China on Tuesday said that its economy grew by 4.5% in the first quarter of the year as consumption and retail sales rose in the world's second largest economy. Between January and March 2023, China grew at 4.5%, which is higher than the 2.9% growth in the same period last year. The better than expected growth rate is an indication that China is coming out of the shadows of the zero COVID policy, which negatively impacted the Chinese economy in 2022. Analysts believe that there has been a rebound in consumption as people flock to shopping malls and restaurants after harsh COVID-19 restrictions were removed in December last year.
It's become the world's largest auto exporter, and it is just starting to ship electric vehicles, causing some concern to the likes of Elon Musk and Tesla and a number of other car makers. Phil LeBeau covers all things cars around the world. He's in Chile to explain why that country and others are reluctant to restrict imports from China. Phil.
David, they love the pricing. That's the main reason why you don't see restrictions, whether it's an electric vehicle or more commonly the internal combustion engine vehicles. Remember, 71% of what China exports, and here are the three largest auto exporters in the world. You see China surpassing Japan. There's Germany at number 3. It's the price of the vehicles coming out of China because of the size and the scale and the cost efficiencies, or what you would say the cost advantages that they have. I want to show you some of those cost advantages. We are at an auto mall, truly an auto mall, where every brand, even like GM and Ford are here, Toyota, Hyundai, and a ton of the Chinese automakers. This SUV is from DFSK, which is a subsidiary of Dongfeng. Take a guess at how much it costs, guys. $9,200 equivalent US dollars. $9,200 equivalent US dollars. Here's another example that you'll say, well, it's easy to see why somebody in Chile would buy a Chinese vehicle versus a traditional automaker that we see in the United States. Compare the price of a Haval Julian, which is a base model crossover utility vehicle, with the Toyota Corolla Cross. It's a $6,000 difference in the base price there. And when we talk with buyers here at this auto mall, almost all of them say the same thing. The quality is good and the price is right.
Because of the performance, and it's very cheap in comparison to other brands. So that's why I prefer this Chinese brand.
So you would buy Chinese again?
Yes, I definitely prefer a Chinese car. I've traveled 500 kilometers, a lot of traveling, and it's very safe.
As you take a look at shares of BYD versus Tesla, and I know BYD is really the one Chinese automaker we talk about the most. Remember, Tesla still outsold BYD in terms of pure electric vehicles last year. Tesla selling 1.8 million, BYD selling 1.6, though this year it is expected that BYD is likely to pass Tesla in terms of sales. By the way, they've just begun selling both Teslas and BYDs down here in Chile. And while this is not the largest market, guys, what we're seeing in Chile, we're seeing in Australia, we're seeing in Israel, we're seeing in countries around the world. They're not the largest auto markets, but they are markets where the Chinese, because they continue to build and they need to use their capacity instead of shutting down assembly lines, they are exporting. And what you're seeing is more and more people saying, I like what I see, I'm going to buy it. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Phil, it's fascinating. So glad you're there to sort of bring it on the ground to our viewers here. I mean, what is the possibility of the Chinese getting closer and closer to our market? Mexico obviously comes to mind, and or even building facilities in Mexico. So there might be an opportunity to import into the U.S.
That's the key, David. Within the next 5 or 6 years, you will see several automakers likely begin final assembly in Mexico. Why is that important? Right now, if you build a vehicle in China and export it to the United States, there's a 25% tariff. If you were to build in Mexico because of NAFTA, you could bring it in under the NAFTA guidelines. Even if you said a 2.5% tariff, it basically eliminates that tariff. And because of the cost advantages that China has in terms of its scale, the concern is they can come in with entry-level vehicles like this SUV. And I know people will say Americans won't buy Chinese. You know what? You ask somebody, do you want to pay $9,000 for an SUV, or do you want to pay $19,000 or $20,000 for an SUV? No contest. And that's what we found with everybody we've talked to down here. Brand loyalty goes out the window when you have that kind of a price advantage.
Phil, this report is unbelievable by you, and I want to point out that if I had to buy a Volvo here, many Americans would not know that's Chinese. So let's put yourself in the shoes of the president. You want to get the CPI down, but you're the union president. This would smash the union. We would buy Volvos because we wouldn't know the difference. This is a horrendous situation for someone who's trying to help the unions, isn't it?
It's going to be tough for them to figure out what they can do aside from trade restrictions. We heard Senator Josh Hawley out of Missouri say yesterday there need to be trade restrictions put in place if Chinese vehicles are built in Mexico. We're going to hear more and more about this in the years to come, because you're not going to be able to bring down the prices much more than what we already see. And yes, there are efficiencies and a few other things that the big three are working on, as well as foreign automakers building in the U.S. But David, the bottom line is this: our costs cannot come down as much as the Chinese are enjoying right now as far as a cost advantage.
Yeah, which has been the case in so many different industries, and certainly it's going to be a struggle. Phil, thank you. Obviously, we're going to hear from Phil throughout the day.
China contributed more to the world economic growth than the G7 countries combined. From 2013 to 2021, China contributed 38.6%. And the G7 countries, all of them combined, Canada, France, the UK, Germany, Japan, and the US, contributed 25.7%. Can you believe that? That is crazy. I mean, I believe it. I've witnessed it. I've seen it with my own eyes. Here in China, for the past 11 years that I've been here, the rapid development, the change has just been immense. The speed at which things can change in China is just unprecedented.
So if you were to make a decision on which way to go, China proves to be the best region that the African continent can look forward to, because of how they deal with Africa and also the global village. They are never selfish like the Western culture or the G7, who do not see value in every country. All they want is to milk the resources without even compensation. You know, even the slavery period, the perpetrators have never been brought to book, and people have never been compensated. Look at South Africa. The whites invaded South Africa, and up to today, they've never accepted that this land never belonged to them, and there have never been reparations. South Africans, through the EFF led by Julius Malema, still want their country to be brought back to the original owners, but they've never gotten that. It means that there is no genuine relationship or something Africans can benefit from the G7. Let us see how to build a good relationship with China, because that is when we will grow and move forward as a continent. Now, I want you to say something on this video, because it is a great conversation that has been hitting different headlines. Is China overtaking America and all these other countries that are regarded as best in building their economies? Is China being one of the powerful regions in the globe? So tell us what you feel, and also do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you.